Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back with some more MechWarrior Online. And today I'm bringing you a live stream highlight from the other day featuring the Raven 3L once again. I know what you're thinking, oh no, more Raven 3L. I just can't help it. My best games are in this mech. It is my favorite, and what I like to do before I play MWO, whether it's a live stream or just off camera per se, is to just warm up with this mech because it's light, it's twitchy, it's fast. I think it loosens up the reflexes, kind of like stretching before a workout. It's just that mech that gets me started, gets me going. And after that, I'll usually switch into something else. But here you can see we are playing on HPG Manifold, which of course isn't too bad for this mech. There's a lot of cover, a lot of terrain that you can hide behind, a lot of barricades or objects within the environment that you can kind of go leg down, protect the lower portions of your mech while you then just pop the laser arm up and over, engaging targets from range. You can see here that I'm just harassing. I'm pretty much marking each and every one of these guys with my brand, letting them have it, annoying them on the way up. It's gonna slow them down. It's gonna force them to perhaps turn into a different direction that they might not normally, or in this case, as you can see with this Atlas, he's stopped completely, thereby delaying his movement towards a primary objective. So another job for a light mech is to just slow the opposing force, distract them, make sure that they're paying attention to something that they shouldn't be, and perhaps that'll allow your team to overpower the forces that did make it up to the front lines. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this map has a lot of cover, and in this case you can see I'm utilizing this ramp. I know I can go forward and then backward. I'm also thinking about my exit strategy. So if I have to deal with an enemy that comes up from the front or from the side, I already know where I can retreat to. In this case, I'm just focusing on harassing enemies that are already engaged by friendly forces. That way they're not paying attention to me, I'm not taking any damage, but I'm dealing it. Also notice how this ramp allows me to gain elevation as well as lose it, because in this case you saw that I took some fire from that Kit Fox. I'm able to pop up to acquire a target down below or up above, and then I can back off to then reacquire some leg down coverage. In this case, I see that this Timberwolf is engaging the Orion. I decide to move in to assist since he's not paying attention to me. Unfortunately, I take some friendly fire from a mech it looked like there. Please make sure to check your fire. You want to know your hard points. In many cases, I find that newer mech warriors are simply shooting from the center point, thinking that all of their weapons are just going to launch from the nose of the mech. You need to realize that your weapon systems are on your arms, side torsos, shoulders, and so you're not just firing straight across. In many cases, you've got a weapon firing from the left or right, and if you're not positioned properly, you might be hitting a friendly in the back, and those points can easily cost you a match. Here you can see we're dealing with a Kit Fox, and just a little tip for those not aware, if you're dealing with a Kit Fox, it's usually a good idea to take off its right arm. The reason for that is all clan Kit Foxes can carry ECM, and it is located on the right arm. So you remove that arm, you get rid of his ECM, and possibly another weapon system. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 special by engaging that component. Yes, you might think that going for the legs is a good idea on the Kit Fox. It's usually the #1 thing that people want to aim for on light mechs. However, I think in that case, getting rid of the ECM is going to be more of a priority. And the clan lights currently aren't that fast anyway. So moving right along, in this case we've actually been pretty lucky. The fact that we've been able to hold this position for an extended period of time, and we're just continuing to engage targets up above, trying to shoot at whatever's available. I believe that we're dealing with a Shadowhawk in the middle there, got a couple of Kit Foxes just running off the edge, perhaps damaging their legs, taking some return fire, so I'm wanting to make sure I have some cover. Of course, kind of falling here on my own. The only downside to that ramp is the fact that more often than not I end up falling off of the edge because I'm not paying attention to where my legs are when I'm reversing. So I end up damaging my own legs a little too often, and that's the one thing you want to watch out for in a light, because once you're targeted, people are going to go for your legs, and especially if they see that they're severely damaged already. Now here I want you to notice this constant movement, back and forth, back and forth. What I'm doing here is just trying to look for targets, have something to lock onto, perhaps lock onto something for friendly forces to engage. But I don't want to stop moving. I don't want to remain stagnant. This is a good old-fashioned first-person shooter tactic where you're just staying twitchy so that the enemy can't engage you, so that they don't have enough time to maintain a lock. Notice how when I wait for my laser to recharge, I pull back into cover, let the lasers rearm, unless something's not paying too much attention to me, in which case I might get a little reckless. But in this case, most of the enemies are distracted. Like we said in the beginning, you want to go after these distracted enemies and try to get rid of the weak spots, or perhaps the critical areas of a mech, the hard points that matter most. For example, the Atlas can carry a heavy weapon in the side torso, so you see me aiming for that a lot. Here I'm just trying to get rid of some of the weapon systems on this Stalker now. There's an arm. We want to try to neuter as many of these mechs as possible so that they can be finished off by friendlies. Now, much of this match has been a best case scenario for me. Lots of heavies or assault mechs just running out in the open or simply standing still. In this case, I think the Stalker has either shut down or just given up on life since he has pretty much nothing left. He doesn't seem to be moving at all, but we saw some Atlases moving around out in the open and standing still fairly early on as well. Now, I find this happens a lot with assault mechs. I think people get into them and they think they're invincible. Oh, I've got all this armor, I can take plenty of damage. That may be the case, but at the end of the day, if you've got 3 mechs engaging you, it's time to move. Don't just sit out in the open. Take advantage of the environment. Get behind cover. You don't have to take all that damage. Now, I'm not telling you to camp. You need to be moving out and supporting your team, leading the charge, but there is a time for fight and there's a time for flight. Moving along, you can see the game is actually pretty close now, and this is where I start to worry because these games can flip pretty quickly. I've got about 3 targets here, and I'm just trying to engage from the rear, hopefully get at some of that back armor. 1 mech down on their side. Looks like a Timberwolf and Atlas remain. The Atlas has taken some damage, and most of his loadout is missiles, so I'm not too worried. But if I had to do this over again, I would have focus fired his arm because that's where he's got his laser, and that was really the only thing he was able to engage me with. Timberwolf also showing up there, trying to get at him, maybe get to that side torso or perhaps the arm. The Atlas seems to be falling back at this point, and so again I'm just trying to shoot at targets of opportunity, but I'm also having heat issues because I'm just firing so often since the enemies weren't really paying too much attention to me. However, as usual, the tables have turned and I find myself alone, so we're dealing with a heavy, Timberwolf, and an assault, the Atlas. We know the situation for the Atlas isn't great. He seems to only be engaging me with the 1 laser mounted on his arm, which again is the target I should have been aiming for. But at this point there's kind of that panic moment where you know you're the only one dealing with the threat. My biggest worry is of course the Timberwolf. We all know how potent clan mechs tend to be these days. And the thing is, for a heavy, he's pretty fast and he's got a lot of torso twist. So we don't want to bring the fight to him. We want him to try to engage me. We want him to chase me. We want to be in a position far away from those mechs and just use the ER large lasers to our advantage. At this point, it looked like they might have had something else up their sleeve. Perhaps they were trying to lure me out. Maybe they were trying to get me to go through this bottleneck, which honestly wouldn't have been a bad idea, but it looked like they were kind of just walking around looking for something else to do. But I see the targets. I start to back away reverse and come around the cover here. I'm trying to lure them around and lose them with ECM and just remove myself from a bad situation. Here I'm not feeling so good. I've already kind of put myself into a bad position dealing with two very large mechs at close range. Never something you should do. But again, I wasn't sure where they were going, and I wanted to try to eliminate them if I could. Here I'm just running. You can see I'm doing a lot of torso twisting to spread out that damage. You don't want to just keep your torso centered, because if they get a nice focus shot on the back armor, that could be it for you. Now here I remember the thought process was that I need to increase the distance between my mech and theirs. I have ER large lasers. I can engage them from very far away without taking any damage. I need to put myself into a position where I have some cover. The problem with this is that I just have no idea which way they're going. I don't know if they're going left or right, or maybe even coming up the ramp. Atlas is still in the back, still kind of eating away at those side torsos. But again, I just really wish I would have hit his arm to remove that laser. The Timberwolf just kind of floating around down there, and I'm just watching both targets and trying to get shots in wherever I can. Again, this is one of those situations where you're in panic mode, so you might not necessarily be thinking clearly. The adrenaline rush kicks in, and so whereas you might be thinking about what components to aim at under calmer situations, here you're just kind of just trying to hit the target. Now here I'm just trying to find the enemies again, and I don't know if they've split up. I don't know if they're still in the same location. I don't know if they're trying to flank me, and I need to be thinking about my situation. What's my armor status? As I'm traveling forward, can I find a direction that has cover? Am I going to be able to retreat or fall back? Can I protect my legs? So many things going through my mind at this point. Always just looking left and right and using advanced zoom as binoculars. You can see fire finally breaks out. I'm on the run, but I'm kind of in a bad situation here. I'm looking to the left and then moving forward as well. Just trying to move out of the line of fire here. Both targets seem close together, and here's the critical mistake. I drop off the side, stripping the armor on one of my legs. I definitely didn't need that to happen. So now I'm having to be extra cautious, really need to pay attention to those legs, and I have no idea where they're at. They seem to be falling back constantly. One target on the minimap. I'm just trying to move and get myself into some cover, taking some fire from the 6 and just trying to pull around so that I don't have to take any more back or leg damage. But this guy is a little too close for comfort. This is where I get really worried. Now, he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons, but still, with my leg armor being the way it is, I don't want to take too much damage. This is definitely not the kind of fight I want to be in, so some mistakes are happening here. I'm thinking that I'm going to meet my maker in a few seconds, but I still keep fighting, trying to get some shots off as I retreat, face some of that frontal torso armor towards the enemy, and then just come back around, use some of this cover, circle around, keep him guessing, go around the other way, switching over here to some thermal vision so that I can better acquire the enemy in this dark map. Now here I perhaps could have opted to go outside, but then I would have had some blank hill cover, and I wasn't sure if they'd just come out and maybe shoot me in the back by the time I could find something to hide behind. So I just kept trying to run around these structures and maybe keep them guessing, but it seemed like every time I did, the Timberwolf was ready for me, and he was getting a couple of hits, just spreading it all over there, some hitting the other leg. And then the Atlas, of course, shows up, so I'm thinking, you know what? Funnel them. Let me get them into a situation where I can focus fire, bring them in one at a time. Both of my legs are in really bad shape here, so I cannot afford to mess up. I can't fall down. I can't take any damage. Target 1 comes right through the door, and he's down. Center torso shot takes him out, and that funneling plan worked perfectly. However, that victory could potentially be short-lived if I don't take care of that Atlas. I will admit at the time I was more concerned with the fact that he might try to come after me or follow the Timberwolf in, when in reality it would seem that he's heading for our spawn in order to take out the 2 disconnected mechs that have, I believe, been DC'd since the start of the match. At this point in time in the game, I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't paying too much attention to the chat. I should have been, and I should have taken some of the advice. A lot of the players were saying they're heading for the DCs or heading for the base, and again, I just was too focused on my driving and looking for this target that I didn't even think about the fact that he might be heading back to spawn to eliminate the DCs, potentially tying the game. He did take out one of the mechs, but fortunately not enough time to take out the second. We still get some sad music there, but that still does count as the win for us. We are going to see that in a few seconds. I know math is hard for the MechWarrior Online game engine, so it's still figuring it out. There it is. So you can see the disconnect on our team with the 0 ping, but look at that damage. 1,258 damage in the Raven 3L Light Mech, 2 ER large lasers. I love this thing, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I highly suggest you take a look at this title. Links in the description below. Find the mech that is right for you, and you will laugh your way to the bank. Look at those C-bills and that XP. Satisfying game indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you enjoyed this look at the Raven 3L again, as well as the tactical analysis. Please stay tuned for a whole lot more. I will definitely see you on the next one.